me, no. Am I not up against them now? You don't call Alec and Alonzo pleasant things, do you, when they simply plague my life out? You never take anything seriously, Phil. Why should I? There are enough folks who do. The world needs people like me, Anne, just to amuse it. It would be a terrible place if everybody were intellectual and serious and in deep, deadly earnest. My mission is, as Josiah Allen says, to charm and allure. Confess now, hasn't life at Patty's Place been really much brighter and pleasanter this past winter because I've been here to live on you?
Yes, it has, owned Anne.
And you all love me. Even Aunt Jamesina, who thinks I'm stark mad. So why should I try to be different? Oh dear, I'm so sleepy. I was awake until 1 last night reading a harrowing ghost story. I read it in bed, and after I had finished it, do you suppose I could get out of bed to put the light out? No. And if Stella had not fortunately come in late, that lamp would have burnt good and bright till morning. When I heard Stella, I called her in, explained my predicament, and got her to put out the light. If I had got out myself to do it, I knew something would grab me by the feet when I was getting in again. By the way, Anne, has Aunt Jamesina decided what to do this summer? Yes, she's going to stay here. I know she's doing it for the sake of those blessed cats, although she says it's too much trouble to open her own house and she hates visiting. What are you reading? Pickwick. That's a book that always makes me hungry, said Phil. There's so much good eating in it. The characters seem always to be revelling on ham and eggs and milk punch. I generally go on a cupboard rummage after reading Pickwick. The mere thought reminds me that I'm starving. Is there any tidbit in the pantry, Queen Anne? I made a lemon pie this morning. You may have a piece of it.
Phil dashed out to the pantry, and Anne betook herself to the orchard in company with Rusty. It was a moist, pleasantly odorous night in early spring. The snow was not quite all gone from the park. A little dingy bank of it yet lay under the pines of the harbour road, screened from the influence of April suns. It kept the harbour road muddy and chilled the evening air. But grass was growing green in sheltered spots, and Gilbert had found some pale, sweet arbutus in a hidden corner. He came up from the park, his hands full of it. Anne was sitting on the big grey boulder in the orchard, looking at the poem of a bare birchen bough hanging against the pale red sunset with a very perfection of grace. She was building a castle in air, a wondrous mansion whose sunlit courts and stately halls were steeped in a rabbie's perfume, and where she reigned queen and chatelaine. She frowned as she saw Gilbert coming through the orchard. Of late she had managed not to be left alone with Gilbert, but he had caught her fairly now, and even Rusty had deserted her. Gilbert sat down beside her on the boulder and held out his mayflowers. "Don't these remind you of home and our old school-day picnics, Anne?" Anne took them and buried her face in them.
"I'm in Mr. Silas Sloane's barrens this very minute,"
she said rapturously. "I suppose you will be there in reality in a few days."
"No, not for a fortnight. I'm going to visit with Phil in Bolingbroke before I go home. You will be in Avonlea before I will."
"No, I shall not be in Avonlea at all this summer, Anne. I've been offered a job in the Daily News office and I'm going to take it."
"Oh,"
said Anne vaguely. She wondered what a whole Avonlea summer would be like without Gilbert. Somehow she did not like the prospect.
"Well," she concluded flatly, "it is a good thing for you, of course."
"Yes, I've been hoping I would get it. It will help me out next year."
"You mustn't work too hard," said Anne, without any very clear idea of what she was saying. She wished desperately that Phil would come out. "You've studied very constantly this winter. Isn't this a delightful evening? Do you know, I found a cluster of white violets under that old twisted tree over there today. I felt as if I had discovered a gold mine."
"You are always discovering gold mines," said Gilbert, also absently.
"Let us go and see if we can find some more,"
suggested Anne eagerly.
"I'll call Phil and—"
"Never mind Phil and the violets just now, Anne," said Gilbert quietly, taking her hand in a clasp from which he could not free it. "There is something I want to say to you."
"Oh, don't say it,"
cried Anne pleadingly.
"Don't, please, Gilbert."